Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well today. We were rambling about the 512 QV-L. It sounds like this. Okay, fastest possible contacts for this one. I'm hoping 12 HP quad variable LFO. I made an entire video on my dream LFO module, questioning why it doesn't exist and talking about the things that I would like to see in it. And among those things were clock, onboard attenuation, which I didn't think this had when I bought it, but we'll get into that in a moment. Screen's always a plus, but not necessarily in the module that I had mocked up in that video. However, I have made no secret about my love, my desire for screens on modules. It just makes everything so much easier. I hate button combos. I hate them with a passion. Simple ones are fine. Intuitive ones are fine, but like I would never want to memorize how to get into something like, I don't know, the output shapes and stuff, options that you get on here easily, in lists, with display, without guessing, without any bullshit, to be totally honest. I just love that. There are some things on here that I would change, like everything in your rack. Nothing's perfect, but we're going to discover this more in depth today. I've spent about an hour and a half with it, so I'm still very new, but it is extremely promising. There are some things I really love on it. So more in depth there. What is it? It is 12 HP quad LFO. I saw a couple things posted online. People were referring to quad LFOs as like, oh, it's a quad. Like a quad is a thing. And in Modular Grid, there's a category of quads. So I guess like quad is this thing for whatever reason. Anyway, more outputs the better, I say. I had actually considered right before pulling the trigger on this one, I almost bought the Make Noise multi-mod. I was just like, you know what? If I take one triangle LFO out of somewhere, be it the Hermod or the PAMS Pro, and I can just make a whole bunch of inversions of it that way, then that could be one way to just get a lot of modulation. Really what I ultimately want in a way, or, you know, I think my dream would be what I discussed in that video. But what I would love to see is just like the DivKid oct, but clocked. The clocked. Like, I don't know what Eurorack's aversion to clocking anything is. It's just like always this guessing game that usually, anyway. There are some things that, again, like I always say this in videos, I do not envy Eurorack makers in the slightest, because everyone's needs are different, everyone's preferences are different, and everyone's expectations are different. And for that reason, like, there's CV inputs and outputs on here, and I would trade all of those inputs for more outputs in a heartbeat. Like, I know everybody wants everything out of every module, but for me, I just want outputs out of my modulation sources. But anyway, that's okay. Maybe there's a way in the manuals to, maybe there's a way in the menus to change that outputs over. So anyway, let's get into actually talking about this thing today. So 4 outputs, 2 screens. These OLED screens are beautiful. I know I already said that. I really appreciate them, but again, it's just like, not only because you get the oscilloscope on the screen, not only because it takes the guesswork out of all these menus, of all the control you get over everything, but just because there's no button combos. I know I already said it, but just like, thank you. Thank you. So we are taking channel 1 out into the Moog data, which you can see here right now. And I think I'm just going to, for the sake of simplicity here, I in the past have done filter cutoff on stuff so you can hear it, but I think we're going to do pitch today, actually. So I have a super saw. And this is quickly going to become pretty ridiculous, but I probably won't leave it on the entire time, if that'll help. So on the 2 screens front, it shares a lot of DNA and includes a back connection with the 512 sequencer, the vector sequencer, and I believe it works with both Mark 1 and Mark 2, I assume. But the two screen layout is something that's very reminiscent of that sequencer. I didn't love that sequencer when I had it. Like, again, sequencers are such a per person thing, I think, in a way, but this I am really loving. But one of the weird things right off the rip is that there's 4 outputs, but they're sort of like 2 channels, so kind of like things are assigned to 2. And then when you boot it up, at least in whatever preference I have or whatever setup comes out of the box, you can sort of change 2 waveform modes for 2 channels at the same time. So that sort of, and I'm guessing here, that sort of lends itself to like a macro control for like a cosine. If your waveform 1 is a sine, then if you look on the oscilloscope here, we can see the one in the background is sort of a different wave shape, a different inversion. Like, you get 2 different unique outputs, which is cool. But for the most part, for me, like, there's a lot of depth here, and I think you're going to want to go in each time and edit them both. And I'm also going to sort of, maybe I'm going to front load my complaints with this video just because, like, they're pretty minor. There's a lot of focus on envelope generation, I feel. Like, the same thing I was kind of complaining about the CV inputs per channel here. These can be used as trigger inputs for envelopes. We'll get into doing some other interesting stuff with it, but you can do sample and hold in with it that way. But there's a focus on envelopes here that I just like, I'm not really interested in using in my setup. Like, there's a trigger in here so you can manually set off that envelope, and I believe you get 4 of them if you want, but again, I bought the quad LFO because I want to use the LFOs. I realistically feel like, but again, this is why I don't envy your rack makers, I realistically feel like you're probably going to have an envelope generator elsewhere. Why would I need my quad LFO to handle those duties too? But again, everybody's different, and I don't envy your rack makers. Did I say that before? Now, I'm going to start off by showing you the preset manual, or the preset entry here. I did not mean to save that. Welp. 6 encoders on the screen. I did not mean to save that, but you can load them. And then I believe the preferences are in this manual somewhere. Sorry, in this menu somewhere. Save the bank, load the bank, reformat all. Don't want to do any of that. If I hit trigger B, I'll save it again. Well, didn't mean to do that. Okay, on the edit B side, once you're in there, preference, sleep, autosave. Oh, autosave is on. Interesting. Well, you know what? If I'm comparing this to Pam's Pro or something, I don't think there's any other pages here, is there? Then it's also auto-saving, so we'll see. I might actually, in the end, I'll set my presets. I just like keep everything clocked. I want to start with basic wave shapes and kind of manipulate them from there. And on that note, let's see if we can find this. If we go into, I'll get to all of these other pieces in a minute here, but we want T2. No. Gate 2. These are our gate inputs, right? Yes. So in I have clock and reset coming in. So reset B will be gate 3, and I just want to set that up for all of these. Sorry, gate 2, not 3. Why aren't they in order? That's okay. Envelope generator 2, again, I'm not gonna cover any of these. Again, they are on there, but I just like, I don't plan to use them. So if that's something that interests you, do take note of it. Let's get out of here. Oh, I think did I freeze it? What happened? No. Hello? Good morning. That's strange. Let's reboot. Oh, I'm gonna have to reset the Mordax data. Hello, everyone. Well, interesting start here. Uh-oh. I never saw anything online about that being an issue, so hopefully that isn't an issue here and something wonky just happened. Set my scope back to scope. Anyway, that's like the quickest rundown of the preferences and preset menu. I'm just going to say that like that stuff isn't necessarily for me, and I think the focus of this thing, if you get to a point where you're interested in recalling them, saving them, etc., it's all on there. I just don't want to miss mentioning completely. Let's jump into actually doing our thing with this. So I am controlling the pitch input with the output of channel A, or channel 1. So on the left side where channel 1 and 2 sit, if you hit edit A, then you get into the individual controls here. So the first thing I'd say you want to change is your range. So I have it clock synced. Sorry, it gets a little confusing, and this isn't a bad thing. It's just like to remember which of the 6 encoders is which, because there's only 2 here. I assume the first one is the first, but if you look at this, it's like the second. So do I want to the bar? Probably not. I want to do like 16th notes. If you get down into hertz here, then your rate can change. No, maybe not. I was in a mode before when I was clocking it in one of these ranges where the rate wasn't a whole number, it was like a decimal point, and I want to just like think of the rate here as a clock division. So if I go into range here, 16th, I probably want to do beat. Then one thing, and someone in the Discord ad nauseum was talking about, they really like having the phase offset option here. So you can have it clocked, but start a little early or a little late. Now I can't hear the clock or what's going on with this here because we're not sending anything else going on here. But just note that like if that's something that's really important to you, you don't need to adjust your clock to shuffle your LFO forward or back in phase. You can just come in here and do that. And that also works great for if you're basically sharing LFO 1 and 2 are the same wave shape. You can just come in here and change the phase a bit so you get some different outputs. Now, the biggest thing on board here, and I'm going to give my opinion on this part here as well, there is wave forms on here. It's all digital, which is perfectly fine for an LFO in my mind, or in my opinion. There's wave control. There is the rate control, which again, I believe these are all clock divisions. If you set it too fast while I'm sending it a reset, though, I think it actually just like won't be able to get up in rate because it's resetting too frequently. But if you do that, you can get it going. There's lots of wave shapes on here. I just want to say that someone in Discord was saying that there's not many wave shaping options, or they wish they could upload their own wave tables on here. But for me, for modulation purposes, I think this is tons. This is like way more than I ever had on PAMs. We have sine, we have a triangle, we have this ramp wave, shark tooth. No, that is the shark tooth. Reverse shark tooth, square for pulses, random, and then we get into the crazy ones. This is variable, I believe. And then, so that's a good time to talk about the shape. So you can twist the wave shapes here. So this one will go from sine to triangle. This one will go from saw to triangle. And then step modulation on board. Thank you. Thank you kindly. No need for another module. No need for sample and hold. No need to do it yourself. Just do it on board here with the digital one. These are stepped voltages for like the, this is, it's not a ramp wave, but a sawtooth. No. This is the ramp wave. I always get ramp wave and sawtooth confused because they're the same shape, but this will be the sawtooth. That will be the triangle stepped, and then this one is PWM. No, I don't know. Maybe this is the audio rate one, perhaps. So I know there is a little bit less focus on audio rate stuff here than there is on the Kermit. It basically, the manual says like essentially like don't use it other than to maybe do some crazy noise stuff with it. But I think the way you would want to use some of these waveforms, and you know what, I haven't been playing this here because I feel like it's going to get really annoying, to be totally honest. Or it sounds like a sounds like a horror movie or the Kill Bill theme or whatever. Sorry, I need to find out where this was going. Where was it going? So if I put this in, that was actually filtered to be less annoying, if you can believe that. If you listen to it now, you're not going to hear much of anything because it is not at audio rates, but if we want to see what we need to get it to audio rates, if we change this over to not wide range, not slow, to hertz, and then you change the frequency up. You can get audio rate. And I don't know how you would pitch track this. Like, so there must be a screen where I can assign CV to all this, but I'm not entirely sure where. Please keep in mind I'm filtering this. Don't make any judgments on its sound quality. But again, I just feel like I know it's one of those modular things where everything has to do everything, but just anyway, if you are interested in using your QV-L as an oscillator, don't look to this video for an accurate demonstration of it, because I'm not full pro-octave tracking. I am running it through a filter. Yeah. So we went through lots of these different wave shades, although they said they were unremarkable on the manual. I mean, basic wave shapes, it sounds pretty good. Like, I don't know what more you want out of them. Although I do sometimes sort of feel like, I don't know, this is probably the same trap that manufacturers get caught up in, though, is that, like, everything can be everything, and the scope creep for Eurorack modules is probably insane. Like, because I'm already like, you know what, this actually sounds really good. They should have put more focus on it. But then that's probably how you end up with so much focus on envelopes that I do not care for in the slightest. However, before I derail myself too far, we'll get over into these step voltages. This is there. Oh man, I need to grab the manual for this part. Sorry, give me one moment. There are logic functions on board, and where the heck did I put the manual, y'all? It's somewhere. Here it is. Sorry. So, oops. And I think I'm gonna unplug this because we did listen to it. We'll unplug that, put it back in. So I was converting my saw into a super saw. I know, it sounds lovely. Okay, back to beat. Lauren's attractor, chaotic functions. Wave has 3 outputs. You can access the second and third outputs by assigning the output to Y or Z versions of LFO 1 and 3. I mean, it kind of looks like a sine wave to me, but there's probably many of you who are familiar with what that would be, and check that out if it's something of interest. Looks like a polygraph test. And it sounds like this. And then this one is PRL is the Perlin noise style wave. In practice, it acts a bit like a random walk function. I almost want to hear this one again. Oh, would y'all hate me if I patched it in? Here, let's patch it in. Here it is at audio rates. That is some noise. And then this one is LM1. Here, let's just hear now that we patched in. Goodbye. Okay. Did it freeze? No, it did not. Sorry, ignore me. Where did the output go, though? I don't know what I've done. What happened? Did I leave audio rate? Maybe there's some of that logic functions. And there's PRL, and then LM1 is implementation of logistic map, chaotic equations. Y'all will probably let me know what that is in the comments, but it sounds like this at audio rates. I know, isn't that wonderful? Okay, in goes the full pro-octave again, range going back down to bar. Beat. Different flavors of random is essentially what I think the important part to know there is. So for that reason, let's go back to other ones. And we're going to use this now instead to modulate the frequency cutoff of my filter instead. So I'll spice it up a little bit on that front. So frequency CV going up. fast, so I want to bring my division down. Bar. And I'll just say I'm kind of focusing on one envelope here, or one envelope, not envelope. I'm focusing on one LFO, but just know you get 4 of them, right? Like, I sort of was like, in an original shoot of this video, I was trying to demonstrate all the different parts and how to use them at the same time, but they're all the same thing, right? There's those macro controls to use 2 at the same time, but let's focus on one of them at a time, piece by piece, right? So here's that filter going, I'll pitch that up, and now I'm going to also send a sequence of this for fun. Because we want to do a patch at the end, right? That's what we do on this channel. So we'll go a step in. So that sequence is coming from her mod, and then that cutoff is coming from this LFO. I like that. So now, if we keep going, I want to show you some wave shaping options you get here, like as if there wasn't enough before, right? So output 1, we're controlling, yes, we want alpha 1 to come out, but I think you get inversions of them too. So if you want to sacrifice other outputs for simplicity and just use one channel, it's another option too. Like you could assign them all like crazy on that route. But what I did want to show here is there's rectify options and offset options, and I almost didn't pick this one up because it didn't have onboard attenuation, but it does. It literally has it right here. So there's an attenuator. I always say I don't know why LFOs hate attenuation, why they always make you use them elsewhere, but there's one right here. And there's even offset, so you can do that too. If you want to go negative voltage, you can do that too. And bring it up to 50 again just because we can. I want to stay in alpha 1. I need to bring my offset down again. But if we rectify, half rectify, you can set those ranges here as well. I'm just going to keep it to none. Yeah. So that's alpha 1. Alpha 2 isn't different in other ways, but if we keep scrolling through here after the LFO 2 page, you can do some internal modulation. Again, this is one of those things where like that's just a level of like meta modulating yourself. If that's something that interests you, do it. It's right here. Then this is how I have my clock set up. We have reset in from gate 2 on the bottom, and then clock is coming in from the other one. But again, that's where you set your envelope range if you want to. We have our custom A, clock, 80 BPM, which is what I'm running it at, or half of what I'm running it at. Yeah, sync is gate 1 as I patched in before. Here we go. Yeah. And then back to the main page. So that is the QV-L in a nutshell. I'm going to patch up some more stuff to play us out. Awesome LFO module, lots of power there, lots of depth, but also a nice curve to it where like immediate functions aren't too hard to find. It's all really simple and straightforward, but also gives you the chance to like dive in deep and make the most complicated waveforms and phase offset and phase shifting. Maybe not phase shifting, but you know, complex modulation wave shapes as you could ever possibly want. Let's do our jam.